if you're new to the group, let's see. Kason, if you want to put your email down there, and you can send it to, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see chat. If you'll hit that chat on the right-hand side, you'll see a chat area. And you can send it out to everybody, or you can send it to just me if you want. But if you'll send your email address, and that way I'll be able to add you to the email list.
Okay, I'll put in right now.
I'll send it as well because I changed my email.
Okay, that'd be great. And the does anybody have a 1-minute deal to announce? Okay, everybody look at Michelle. That's Michelle Chasen. She's the one that's in charge of our Facebook. She's the one that I said that had joined back in 2012.
All right.
The quote of the month is, you can't change people around you, but you can change the people around you. The book of the month is The Code of Trust by Robin Durant. And Robin is a former FBI Marine, and psychology is so important when it comes to dealing with people. And he was on the FBI psychology, dealing with trying to get secret agents and stuff. So he had to learn how to introduce himself to different people. And it's a good book that'll help you with meeting sellers. If you know anybody here that knows of a subject or a person that might be good for the real estate group to meet, appreciate you sending them to me or getting us in contact with them so that they can let everybody enjoy the knowledge that they have. The next thing is Trevor is not a professional. He's not a lawyer. He's not an accountant. So any information you hear from anybody in the group, it's just for your enjoyment. Trevor is, he was born and raised on a cattle ranch near San Angelo. His family's been doing raw deals since 1996, and Trevor's been doing it for 3 years. So Trevor, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Like I said, my family for I guess it's the mid 90s has been doing the whole buy by the ranch and sell by the pasture kind of deal. And so that's fine and dandy, but about 3.5 years ago, I really wanted to get into the cash flow business. I've bought and sold some houses and had a small little apartment deal several years ago, and I realized that a lot of tenants I don't like very much. So I decided it's funny, we got done subdividing a place down in Sonora, Texas, down in Sutton County, and ended up having a good deal, subdivided out, sold it all, but you know, the capital gains taxes, short-term capital gains taxes and everything really bites into you. And I was sitting there with my dad, who has also been a real estate appraiser for 35 years. And I was like, man, I'd love to get some cash flow off of land. And he's like, well, they've been doing it out in West Texas for years, decades, you know? And so I was like, okay. And so I started doing a little homework and kind of learning. And this is just a kind of a presentation that we're going to go over 2 different things. The first one is going to be kind of some subdividing stuff. It's really a lot easier than you think. And then also what we're going to do is kind of go into more what I do as far as cash flow, owner financing, cash flow, kind of recreational properties. So let me see if I can get all this stuff going now. And what I'll do is I'm going to kind of have a little, we call it PowerPoint, but then I'll also be going back and forth onto some of the websites and things like that I use a lot. And like if you want to make any notes or anything, but I also have have all of them on the presentation that we can do later, or that Lee can share and everything too. So, all right, let's see if I can do this now. I've never done one of these on the computer. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, let's see here. All right. Why raw land? No toilets, roofs, tenants, low taxes, and multiple exit strategies. We're only going to go over a couple right now. You know, sell for cash, owner carry / owner finance. You know, the really rich people in the world do ground leases, long-term ground leases. Some of the richest families in the world, you know, in Manhattan and California and things like that. But that's a plan for another 10 or 15 years one of these days on commercial deals. Subdividing to force appreciation. That's really the whole name of the game on this stuff. I've only done simple subdividing, what we call simple subdividing. I'm not done large subdivisions as far as like green acres with you know, a school and a park and all that other stuff. I've never done that, so don't ask me any of that stuff. Basically, why do we subdivide properties? There's a couple reasons, but the main reason is you get more money per acre. And depending on where you're at, like we're out here, of course, next to y'all is unbelievably expensive land for sand. But you know, most of our stuff that we've done, we usually sell to recreational buyers out of Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, things like that want to sell, to have like a hunting place. That's kind of our bread and butter when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know, that they might not have $1.5 million or something like that to buy a big place by themselves, but they want a smaller place. Here's a deal that actually I just had brought to me today. This is McClellan County. That's Waco, just east of Waco. And what it's got is two county roads, paved county roads access. It's 103 acres. We're buying it for $4,500 an acre. It's pretty flat, got some trees, things like that. But what the best thing about it is it's got power up and down both sides of it, and then it's also got rural water access on both sides of it. So the big deal with this kind of stuff is you got to make sure that it's got the two things. As far as these higher quality parcels, you got to make sure it's got two things, and those are going to be water, power, and actually three things, and then good access. So and again, like this, bought for $4,500 an acre. So, you know, give or take 450, we're going to be able to cut it into 10 acre parcels and market that at $10,000 an acre, almost doubling your money. And that's not really spending any money besides a survey. Checklist that I use for subdividing, great access. I need to make sure that the county road is a minimum on that. No easements. That's a deal killer. I had two different deals in Gillespie County. Y'all know where that's at? Fredericksburg and all that. Like big multi-million-dollar deals. And they wanted to sell at the right price. That's at like $5,000 to $5,700 an acre on 100-acre deals. But whenever you cut them into 20, 30-acre tracts, they're worth 20 to 25. The thing is I couldn't find anybody that didn't want to over market price that had good quality access. So 2019, we didn't do really any big deals. I guess the second half of 2019 didn't have any really big deals. Hardtop state highway is best. The only thing is with that, when it comes to that, you got to deal with the DOT. You've got to talk with them as far as how many entrances you can put in, whether you got to split entrances, things like that. That can be kind of a pain. But I mean, they're easy to work with. They're not going to cost you anything, but it's something that you got to do during your due diligence. You don't want to have that, buy something and then go to them. You want to talk to them about that beforehand. Water, again, groundwater, know what it's going to cost to drill a well out there, wherever you're at. If they have water, there's certain places like in Mason County that we've looked at. It's nothing but granite rock, and you either have water really close or you have no water at all. That's a big deal. The best thing is to have rural water. Like there was a 1,500 acre deal right northwest of Abilene, right off the interstate there. And the thing is there's no groundwater in that part of the world. And so we actually talked to them. They allowed I can't remember who it was. I think it was the Holly Water Services, which is a little town out there. The thing is they only allowed so many taps because they only have a certain capacity. And so that didn't, that's another way that a deal gets killed. Power, as far as being able to have access to that's a huge deal. I think that's probably even a bigger deal than the water, especially in this part of the world. We want to be able to talk to whoever the power providers are in your neck of the woods. A lot of times they'll actually allow you to add a pole, sometimes even 2 poles for free, depending on the provider of the energy, because what they're going to do is they're going to get a new client out of every single one of those poles and every little division there that you've done. And so that can be a deal killer. If they don't do it for free, sometimes you may pay $6 a foot. There's certain areas that you pay literally $6 a foot to have power run, and that could potentially kill a deal right there. So let's go on to the next one here. Financing them. That's, whether you got personal cash, private investors. What we do for the most part is we use little small regional banks. There's a little regional bank here that we've worked with for a long time on these big deals, Capital Farm Credit. But any of these properties that you buy, you're going to pay 20 to 30% down usually, 6+% interest. But a cool thing, and this is a little trick that you may want to talk to a bank about on a deal like this, is talk about an annualized payment schedule. And what that is that's a 1 payment a year. So you make your down payment, say it's $1 million property, right? You make a $200,000 down payment. Then you let the interest accrue, and also, for the full year there, and the principal and everything else like that. A lot of times, if you're doing your job right, you'll never make another payment because you'll sell off the parcels before you make another payment. And so that's a nice thing with that. So you're not having to worry about that monthly payment that's eating you. And a lot of banks will do that as long as you've got down the capital on that, as far as, enough down payment. To be honest with you, we've got such a good relationship that we've done, I guess the last one we did, that was nearly a $2 million buy for 3 sections. And we got to put down 12% down. But that's not, you can get there eventually, but that's probably not going to happen on your first deal. So I'm trying to get to, I've got some, let's go back here.
How big a section is?
640 acres, 1 square mile. So anyway, going back to this, like, has anybody done any kind of subdividing or thought about it or anything else like that?
Yes, we have, or we've thought about it.
And this is, again, this stuff that I haven't even mentioned. Like, this is outside of town. This is not even within the jurisdiction. You know what I mean? Like, this is out in the county that I've done. I've never done anything getting in front of the city council members. We'll talk about the county commissioners here in a little bit, but I've never done anything like that. So let me preface that. So anyway, but yeah, so what have you looked at?
Well, our biggest issue, I guess, was how do you divide your road to get to all the pieces of the land? Is there one easement for all of it between the middle of it, or how do you do yours?
It'll just depend on the parcels. And a lot of times what we'll do is we are not building hardtop roads. We'll come in and we will do caliche roads, things like that. You know what I mean? And things that, but yeah, we We've never done any of the hard top, county approved kind of deal. These are all, and so what we'll do is a lot of times they'll say you've got like this deal outside of Waco. It's got county road on both sides, and so what you do is we'll put what we've done or what we're going to do is we'll actually put an entrance off the state highway where they allow us to, but we're splitting both of those. As far as one entrance is going to be they're going to be super wide. It's actually going to have 2 gates to 2 different parcels right next to each other. So that makes it a little cheaper. You don't have to worry about as much on that deal. But yeah, a lot of times you're going to need a dirt guy to do this, or a gal, whatever. Somebody that's got yellow iron, that's got a Caterpillar, that's going to do some stuff. That's another thing that you need to that you need to look at. But most of the stuff that we've done, we'll just we'll try to do the best we can when we come with our survey. We'll try to come the best way we can with the roads that are currently on there, because most of these parcels usually have ranch roads, things like that. And then what we'll do is we'll just do little spurs off of them. So
How are you finding these properties?
I send direct mail to absentee owners. I also broker relationships, and something that I'm really gonna jump into is, this is kind of, I haven't done it yet, so it may blow up in my face one way or other, but I'm gonna try to partner with some of these brokers that have listings that have been on the market too long, and be like, hey, Mr. Broker, I know that this, 1,000-acre parcel or 3,000-acre parcel or whatever it is, as long as it's got the right characteristics as far as access, be like, hey, they want too much for it at this price. What if I can pay that price? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to subdivide the whole thing. I'm going to put down a down payment on the deal. They're going to owner carry it, and I'm going to do individual releases on the parcels. Let them be the bank, basically, as far as that, you know what I mean? The broker makes a hell of a lot more money. He's going to make a lot more money because overall we're going to force appreciation on the deal. And then also he's got properties now that have a heck of a lot more buyers, right? Anytime you get over $500,000 to $700,000, it's just not that many people that can afford it just as a recreational, you know what I'm saying, kind of deal. To be honest with you, we've done up to 10 sections at one time, right? 10 square miles, all this other stuff, built all these roads. Right now, the way the world is going, I would much rather buy 100-acre parcels at a higher price and subdivide them into 5s or 10s or whatever the county allows me to, because I want to be as affordable as possible right now. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know that that's the way the world's going to go, but that's just the way the world's going to go. I mean, I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest with you.
How did you find your first raw land deal? Like, you just break it into it, not knowing really what you're doing, and that's it.
I got a hold of the county, and I was like, hey, is there a way that I could get an Excel spreadsheet with every owner that is vacant owner that or pasture? Every county is a little bit different as far as their zoning, but like where I've done it is usually pasture or vacant. I'm trying to think of other codes or zoning that they have. Agricultural, right? Anything over a section. And I just had them, usually you can do that, especially if it's in your neck of the woods. $20, and you can get every owner. And then you can go in and most of them are going to be absentee owners that are going to want to sell to you, right? Somebody that's got a mailing address in Austin that, grandpa died, however many years ago. They used to love going to the ranch back in the day, but they haven't been in 3-10 years. You know what I'm saying? That kind of deal.
Yeah.
So that's the cheapest way to do it. And then I send letters saying, hey, I'm an awesome guy. I would really like to talk to you about your land that you got out there. And then just once a quarter, send it to them again. Just be consistent with it. Don't expect, like, on these big deals, because you're kind of elephant hunting. You know what I mean? Like on a big deal, right? And you only need to do a deal or two. I mean, hell, you can known a guy that he made $10 million on one deal. right? You know, it took him 2.5 years to finish it, but you know, that's not bad wages, you know? But so that's the way I do it. I like to do a lot of direct mail. I've also tried calling people, but most of the time these are older folks. They don't want you to call them, much less ask about buying their damn property. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I've done, and that's the easiest way. You can use like RealQuest, you can use Data Tree. I'll show you Data Tree in here in a little bit to really do it super fast and everything, but that costs money. You know, I'm paying 150, 200 bucks a month just for access to it. And so, but the best way is just to get it directly with the county. They're going to have the freshest data. Just sometimes you go be like, hey, I want a rent roll of all agricultural parcels, 50 acres and above, you know, and just go that way. I mean, there's no great way to do it. And then also, you know, start talking to brokers, you know, especially if you see a property that's been on the market for a long time, make an offer. A buddy of mine literally had a 1,200 acre deal out in Jack County, which is, you know, kind of southwest of the Metroplex there. And it was on Zillow, it was on Lands of Texas, it was on all kinds of stuff, but it had been on there forever. And he got a $800,000 price cut on the deal. 800 grand, just because he made an offer. He's like, the broker said no one was ever making any offers because it was too high. I was just like, you lucky son of a, you know, I'm just making an offer. So, but yeah, I like going direct mail and doing it that way. That's how I've done it.
All right, thanks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, we already kind of talked about this financing on the deal. Dispositions. This is something that we talked about with the mobile home earlier. Don't be cheap, especially on these better parcels and things like this. Use the busiest land broker you can. A lot of the times, if they are listed with a broker, I offer to allow him to double dip or even triple dip on the deal. So that means, you know, he's got his listing, and I'll let him represent me on the buy side. And then also, if he wants to, or she, but most of these are guys, especially with the stuff out, you know, middle of nowhere. He also can sell the individual parcels as well. So he can potentially make 3 commissions on the deal, on one deal, and make a heck of a money. I mean, you know, with the right broker on the right deal, he can make his whole, you know, all his money for the year on one deal. Another thing is a lot of these buyers, they want to see it and they want to ride around in a nice air-conditioned vehicle or a Polaris, and they want, you know, somebody there to hold their hand. And I don't want to do that, especially a lot of times they're not in my neighborhood and, you know, my neck of the woods. I'm not going to drive around. It's worth it to pay them the, you know, 5% or whatever it is, whatever you negotiate on the deal. Cash sale. Yeah. This is something I'm really diving into right now on some cheaper stuff. I've got some stuff out way West Texas from old mailings, doing subdividing and then allowing owner financing. That's kind of the best way to maximize your money, is to buy cheap, force appreciation, and then you're also going to force kind of appreciation just through the financing of the deal. You know, we're charging 8 to 10% interest, and, you know, you can make 110, 120% of market just by offering easy financing. There are people, there's not a piece of dirt in this world, really. And believe me, when I first got started, I did some really, really sorry stuff in Navajo County, Arizona. And there is not a piece of dirt in this world that somebody won't buy for the right price. Like, you make it affordable, they will want to buy it. It's in the painted desert, middle of nowhere, off of Navajo country, you know, all this other stuff. Like, nothing's, I don't know if anything's grown there since dinosaurs were around, but somebody will buy it for $100 a month. Like, they will. And so, you know, let's see what else we got here. Oh, I just called Edgar County today just to mess with it. I don't know if this is something that y'all even looked at, but it's really pretty darn easy. Edgar County Public Works, I got a hold of them. They kind of told me some stuff. And then the planning and zoning is usually the first place that you start. And what you're going to do is you're going to play real dumb with them. You're going to be like, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, me and my dad and my brother are looking to buy, 100 acres down south of town there. We're good, 15 miles out from town, but we're thinking about subdividing it. That way we all have our own parcels there. And if somebody gets mad at each other, we're not going to have to fight each other in court for who gets what, just play dumb. And they were like, oh yeah, literally today, the gal, I can't remember her name. She's awesome. But she was like, yeah, I can, family, and just, yeah. And then, at least in Ector County, she said that the big deal is hire the engineering firm to do the survey, right? So you've got your parcel, you're looking at buying the thing, or you've done your homework, you've run your comps, things like that. You're gonna buy the thing. Then you're gonna have a survey guy or surveyor come out. They're gonna do their work. They're gonna charge you, depending on how big it is, anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000. And also kind of how crazy the country is. If you got a bunch of canyons and things like that, they can charge you more. But if get a couple of quotes kind of off from them, one way or other. The gal suggested SW Howell and Newton Engineering. They're in Ector County. And then LCA, she said it was an acronym for a long deal. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to get us this survey, and then you're going to have to go in front of the county commissioners. And it's a lot easier. And you'll talk to the planning and zoning. They'll tell you how small you can go without having to do a subdivision, a quote unquote real subdivision. We call what is a simple subdividing versus a true subdivision. And what you're going to do is you're going to have that survey, and then you're going to have that engineering firm represent you and say, hey, listen, this is, Mr. Probandt has brought in and he wants to build 70 acres, 100-acre parcel off of 349 south of town there, right? This is what we've done. This is the deal. They're all larger than 10 acres. That's kind of the county rule. A lot of places going to say you have to stay larger than 10 acres. We suggest this is what we're looking at. Will you approve this? And for the most part, unless you kind of get a little squirrely, they're going to approve you. So in Ector County, they're going to do, they meet every second and fourth Monday. A lot of the more rural counties and things like that out in the middle of nowhere, they're going to have once a month. And sometimes you won't even have to worry about that. All you're going to have to do, the county commissioners really never meet. What you'll have to do then is you'll have to get in front of the county judge, which sometimes in these places out in the middle of absolute nowhere, the county judge is also the sheriff, who is also the trash man, who is also the whatever. Yeah, I remember going out to Hudspeth County because they had hundreds of acres that were on the tax roll. And it's funny, I drove all the way out there, which is Sierra Blanca, right? Out on the interstate. And I ended up eating Cheetos and listening to classic rock with the judge and the assessor, the planning and zoning board and all this other stuff, and it was two people. So yeah. So again, we're not coming in, we're not trying to build, we're not trying to build multifamily, we're not worried about car counts, we're not trying to do anything like that, right? Good access, power, water in some form, and then make sure that you meet requirements for the individual county, which, like I said, for the most part, keep it above 10 acres and you'll be fine. So any questions on that? All right.
Is the situation totally different if the acreage has a house on it?
No. Again, as long as it's over 10 acres, it won't be a problem. Like, the only thing is whoever's going to have that improvement is going to pay more in taxes, because they'll take that 1 acre that house is on. We've done some with some improvements, but for the most part, an improvement is like a very old set of pens and a barn and stuff like that, in which it's not going to really make that big a difference when it comes to that. it will help sell sometimes. Sometimes you got like a really old ramshackle house, but it's still livable. You can still do that. And that actually, you can actually just charge more for that particular parcel. Sometimes, sometimes people don't want to mess with it at all, right? Like they want to they want to build their own house, or they want to bring out their own double wide or hunting, modular deal or metal building or something like that. And to be honest with the people that I work with, a lot of them just want to run out and run their travel trailer, their hunting trailer out and leave it there. They're like, well, I don't care about fences, about water, but I want power, right? Like they got to watch their dish TV while they're deer hunting or something, so.
What do people do on 10 acres? Do they
Huh?
hunt on 10? Do people hunt on 10 acres?
I think the smallest is all we've ever done was 10 acres, but yeah, it depends on where you're at, right? Like 10 acres in Ector County versus 10 acres in Smith County in Tyler is a whole different ballgame. They can. I think the smallest one that we've ever done as far as like big acreage to recreational buyers has been 42 acres. So the most time they're a couple hundred acres, but most people just want to have a deer feeder and hang out and just watch the deer and stuff like that. They just want to get out of the dang city,
Yeah.
and it's just so expensive to live in some of these places,
Yeah.
So if they can come in, buy the land, and then whether that's a mobile home, whether that's a travel trailer for a little while, while they're building their dream home or something like that.
Mhm.
I have done that several times, and I keep trying to talk my wife into doing it. I was like, man, let's just sell our house. Take one of these 10 acres that we get for free. People will sell all those stuff, live in a trailer house, and we can build our house out there. And she still hadn't gone for it. So we'll see. Okay. Anything else on subdividing? It's really pretty darn again, this side, I'm not D.R. Horton or anything else like that. I've never done anything like that. It's been interesting, but I've never done that and never really wanted to. That's a big risk. I mean, you can make a lot of money at it, but it's also a big risk compared to something like this. If you have a good deal with good access, you can find a way to subdivide it.
Can you email me just one of your plots? I'd just like to see
Yeah.
how you subdivide it out, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. I'll get all that and we'll get all that done. We'll do that big 3-section deal that we did end of last year.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I've been doing lately. This is been virtual investing for cash flow, owner financing, recreational land all over the place. So, nope. Was that anything, Lee?
No, it's just somebody joined.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Now I'm going to see if I can change out of this. Oh, shit. New share. Okay. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
The data tree stuff? I'm going to try one more share. Okay. This is something that I've really gotten into, and that's going to retire me and everything else. And it's something that I think is probably the biggest opportunity in real estate with the least amount of competition that I know of, anyway. And so this is kind of what I'm doing. And there's just some of the tools of the trade that I use, and I'll go over all of them here in just a little bit. We're going to use an example of Park County, Colorado. Do y'all have any idea where that's at?
No, sir.
It is due west of Colorado Springs. And what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of show you some, there we go.
So you're not just in Texas. You're all
I've
over.
got properties in New Mexico. I've got properties in Colorado, Texas, Nevada. I've got them all over the place. And I'm going to kind of show you what I've been doing. And that's why I like land, is because of what we're doing right now. So let me see here. New share. Okay. Is that on now? Can y'all see Zillow?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. All right.
Yes,
Awesome.
sorry.
Okay. All right. This is an area that literally we just got back from me and my dad and my uncle. We went fly fishing up in this part of the world. Literally, I got back last night. So, and the whole reason that I'm doing this is because there is, in this particular market, there is no liquidity in it. And I don't mean just in this area. I'm just showing you, like, when it comes to raw recreational land and like parcels that are outside of town that are not necessarily in the path of growth, things like this, there are millions and millions of parcels that banks will not lend on. Okay? The reason banks won't lend on it, they won't make any money off the fees because they're too small, right? And secondly, because it's not a primary residence, they know that they got a higher chance of default. And so because of that, you can go all over, and you can do this in Texas too. I just like Colorado and things like that. So we can see Denver's right here. And I'm just going to some places that I actually have parcels and know well. You can literally pick anywhere you want to. I like to make sure it's within a couple hours of a large metro area. But basically what you do is you come in and say, we've got this parcel right here. It's 10 acres, right? No power, no tree, or it's got no power, but it's out here in the mountains. Everything like this. It's been on the market for 606 days. Does anybody have any idea why?
No power.
Anyone else?
Just
No
raw
power,
land.
no water.
What was that?
No power.
Yeah, that's part of it. There is actually power right there. You can actually see the deal.
Oh.
It's close enough.
Oh.
But the big deal is there's no financing. And people can't afford, the majority of the people can't afford to pay 60 grand out of pocket for a secondary potential to maybe buy a house, right? Or maybe build a house out there one of these days. It's not, there's just not that many people that can do it. I mean, right? Like everything is financed now, right? Everything, whether that's trailer houses, right? Like we just got done talking about earlier. Trailer houses, things like that. Look at this parcel right here. Just down the road. 44,000, 45,000, 35 acres, right? Look how many views it's got. 5,615 in 223 days. You think that somebody would have bought that? It had 5,000 views. No one's got any cash. And the guy wants a whole lot of money on the deal. Well, I mean, he wants nothing but cash. And so that in itself, and I'm trying not to go too fast, but that is in itself is the whole reason that there's any opportunity in this raw land kind of stuff, is because there's no liquidity in the market.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you seem to be pretty familiar with this area, with it being on this site for 223 days. Why haven't you picked it up? Like, what makes it wrong for you?
Because he still wants too much. I'll show you. I only pay 50 cents on the dollar or less.
Okay.
That's why. And the cool thing is you can actually do that in raw land because, again, there's no liquidity in the market. So that makes it – the only reason that real estate makes us any money is because it's an imperfect market, right?
Yeah.
Like if everything traded just like stocks and bonds, in, out, you could sell it anytime you wanted to, right, for whatever specific spot price you have. Otherwise, houses, you knew that on this house, any day that I could sell it, there, the house that you're in right now or whatever it is, right? If you knew that you could sell it, whatever Zillow, just say Zillow was like the ticker tape, right? And you knew that you could sell that thing for $250,000 today, right? That it's not the way it works, right? And so that's the really only reason that we go with real estate is because it's an imperfect market. Do you think any of the sellers that we ever talk to would take less than market value for a house or anything like that? If it would trade instantly? No. And so dirt is even more so because the banks don't lend on it like how they do on housing, right? It's kind of even a step above than, when it comes to like mobile homes. A lot of banks won't lend on mobile homes unless they're less than 7 years and they got to be either a Clayton or this thing. And so banks don't lend on it. People can't pay cash for it. And so it sits on the market. And when we get done with this, like I said, get home or get back on the computer, play with Zillow. You will see tens of thousands of these little red dots all over the place. And because of that, because they do know that the market is so illiquid, that allows you to do two things. The big one, and you'll find out, and I'll show you exactly how to do it, is it's easy to buy land cheap on this kind of stuff. It's hard to sell cash. Okay? That's the hard part. What allows you to make money and make the spreads I'm going to show you is you're offering financing to buyers. So you're going to be the bank. You're going to buy it 50 cents or less on the dollar, and then you're going to owner finance it. It is the biggest opportunity that I know of, right? Like you can go to any RIA meeting ever, and there's going to be there's going to be 15 house guys or 200 house guys, right? And there's going to be some mobile home guys. There's going to be some little apartment guys or gals, one way or other. You're not going to find anybody that's going to do exactly what I'm telling you. And I don't know anybody. And the only reason why there's a lot of people that do really, really cheap stuff that they buy for $2,000 or $3,000 and then they owner finance for $100 a month. I don't know anybody that's doing this because it does take capital. But the rate of returns, which I'll show you here in just a little bit, and I'll show you exactly how to find them and to make offers and things like that. I personally believe that it's going to be the best opportunity. And I'm putting all my chips in on this, raising capital to do this, and I'll show you why. But you got to kind of understand and again, I've been looking at this and doing this for 2 or 3 years now, but especially in the past year, really focusing on the owner financing and things. And so it's kind of, I don't want to be too over the top or one way or other, but basically no one lends on it and no one can afford to pay cash for it. That's the place that we want to be.
Would they lend on it if after you bought the land, you built a house out there, supplied power and water to it? Would banks then be more willing to lend out on that piece of land?
That's a good question because I've never done it. I've never built on it. You know what I'm saying? I would personally, because on my contracts, they're not allowed to do any improvements until I'm paid off. Because I do some land contracts and we do deed in lieu of foreclosure. There's a couple different things, but if you can afford to build a house out there, then you can afford to pay me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I've got a guy that's got a really nice parcel that I'm selling owner finance to. It's like a $70,000 deal, and he said he's gonna pay me off in the next year, so he can build out there. And I'm like, cool, that sounds great. I won't make as much money because the interest doesn't get to time to really do anything. But yeah, so that's, again, you can look up land investing, you'll find podcasts and all this other stuff, but you'll find that most of them are going to do really cheap stuff, and then they owner finance it. And I started out that way, $2,000 or $3,000 a piece, owner finance it for 6 or 7 at $150 a month. It's fine and dandy, but the buyers that you deal with are Martians, man. they're crazy. You know what I mean? Because who else would want to live out in the middle of the painted desert, the petrified forest? You know. So, anyway, but I'm gonna pull back from that. So, so yeah, this just kind of giving an area, and this is just kind of something like when I'm looking for a market to say I'm gonna send out offers, and I'm pulling out $20,000 to $60,000. You can do less or more, but anything $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to kind of get a feel for particular areas. And I pulled this up just because, like I said, I know this is 285, and this is one of the main highways that goes into Denver. And it's got tons and tons of traffic. And it's a nice place, beautiful views, but it's far enough away. There are some houses and stuff. Let me see. Satellite here. See, there's some houses built in here. Then here's the interesting thing about it. You can buy this parcel for 40 grand, but it'll cost you $500,000 to build a house. The dirt of it is so cheap compared to the improvements in, say, like Colorado or any of the mountain states, which is where I like to do it, just because I like the mountains. The price, the percentages in the dirt is very, very small. I don't know if it's just so hard to get people to build out there or what, but anyway, and so, I mean, it's not out in the absolute middle of nowhere. These parcels people actually want, they just can't afford them, right? If they're going to drop $40,000 on something, they'll just buy a place that's got a house on it.
So are you saying you would not buy any of these properties? Is that what you're saying? You're not interested in any of these?
Oh no, I am very interested in it, but I would buy it for $20,000 or less.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep. And so that's that. And the only reason I'm able to do that, right? I like to buy at 40% or less of market. That's my game. There's a lot of people that want to buy another, but 20 or 30%. And you can do that. Again, the reason that you can do that is because there's no liquidity in the market. And they would rather take 20 grand. They bought it, 30 years ago, and they were going to move out there. And you'll see these all over the place. There'll be even out in your neck of the woods, there'll be owners from Chicago or New York or whatever, but especially in like these mountain towns and things like this, they'll have somebody that bought it 30 years ago. They're going to retire in Park County, Colorado, all this other stuff. They're 65 now. They're never going to go back to it, and because the grandkids still live in Chicago, all this other stuff. It's something that you'll hear all the time. Lots of people die, they won't do anything with it. Again, this 200 days on the market, 600 days on the market, right? It's just because it's not because the parcel is bad or even necessarily bad pricing. It's just no ability to finance it, and it's too expensive to pay cash. And so, no, I love these kind of parcels. But again, I'm buying them 50 cents on the dollar or less.
So
and
so you
ahead.
would get this $42,000 one right here, and would you divide it into like what?
No, I would not divide it. And
Okay.
this has already been subdivided. See, these are all subdivided out already. And so especially in a lot of these states, but Colorado especially, anytime you get below 35 acres, and this is across the entire state, anytime you get below 35 acres, you have to go in front of the city council. And this has already been subdivided. And so, but there are literally hundreds and hundreds of these little subdivisions all over, not just Colorado, but New Mexico. Every state. You see all these little red dots that are close to each other? Those have already been subdivided. They've already done the hard work, and it's probably been sold, I don't know, however many times. It's, a lot of these have been subdivided in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, but no one's ever built anything on it. But people want this stuff. And again, don't try to figure out why, but they do, And so let me go back up here where I was at. So you're like, okay, how the heck do I find the owners to send letters to or make phone calls to or whatever, right? Then we're going to do, this is where I pull most of my data, is going to be on, let's see here. Can y'all see that data tree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a conglomerate. This is part of American Title. Does anybody know who American Title is? They're one of the biggest title companies in the country. They have offices everywhere. So I'm going to look right here. This is just something, and you can pull it up with the individual counties. This, like I said, data tree costs about $150 a month, and you can pull, I think, like 6,000 pieces of data a month on that. And so I think it comes like 6 cents per line or something like this. But what you can do is you can come in here, and I looked up the subdivision on the GIS map. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here. Okay. So say we're trying to find what the parcel and the ownership deal. Say we find this area and we want to send out offers at 40 cents on the dollar, right? So what we do is we look up our parcel number. When you look up the parcel number, the owner name, the owner mailing address, and legal description. We can also, this is also what we could do whenever we're looking up ownership for the bigger parcels to subdivide, right? This is basically the information that you need. Parcel number, owner number, mailing address, and legal description. Sometimes you can do even acreage and do it that way. And so the way I do it anymore, just because I don't like trying to talk to the counties and deal with them, is you can come in here and use this data tree. And what I like doing is you can look up by city, zip code, assessor parcel number, things like that. And what I'm doing right here is I'm looking up Jefferson Heights subdivision, Jefferson Heights right here. So I'm going to, shoot. Man. I'm going to look up because I'm going to pull up every single parcel in there. And let's just do a quick count. There's 97 parcels in there. And then if I'm looking for nothing but land, I'm going to come down here and go to improvements. And here's another thing that you can do too, is you can also do owner occupied and do absentee owner. So that means that they don't live there, right? And so you're able to come in, let's get a count. We're going to do view results. So these are all the parcels that are absentee owned. And you can come in, you can scrub them here later. But what you can do is you can actually find out all the information on these properties instantly. That's maybe not the best picture on this particular deal, but you can see when they were bought. You can see how many beds, how many baths. You know, I didn't filter out the houses. And this is instant, and you can see how many there are before you spend a dime on it. So that tells you how many square feet bought in 2000, 2003. And so basically you can come in here, and then what you can do is you can pull your data, and this is how it would come to you. This is an Excel spreadsheet. And it will give you more information than you ever thought, you know, APN, county, mailing address, mailing city, mailing state, zip codes, owner name. And this also even got all the way down to your legal description. And this is a little bit, this is a Jefferson Heights. This is a Silver Hills Ranch, which is just north of there. And so you're able to literally find comparables by subdivision. Okay. So what that's going to allow you to do is to compare apples to apples whenever you decide to price it. So you come in here, and we found all this stuff with the lots, right? So that's 40,000, that's 5 acres, you know, another 5 acres here. And so then what you can do is you can extrapolate that all the 5-acre parcels in here in this subdivision, you're going to offer whatever percentage you need it to be of, say, $40,000, right? That's what we're going to say comparative market analysis is worth. It's up to you on how little you can offer. Send a blind offer and saying, hey, I'll give you $10,000 for your parcel in Jefferson Heights here, right? The thing is, that's called a blind offer, and it pisses off a lot of people. Or what you can do is you can send out offers, direct mail offers saying, hey, I saw you have a parcel in Jefferson Heights in Park County, Colorado. If you're interested in selling, please call me. Okay, that's what we call a neutral letter. It's going to get a lot less hacked off people at you, even though some people will get mad just because you send an offer, it's a piece of paper saying, hey, I'm interested in buying your parcel or your house or whatever. I don't know if y'all get any of those from, if you have any rent houses or things like that. Most time you're going to get a letter or a postcard or something like this. And so what you can do, pull that data, and then you decide on what you're going to do as far as sending it out. And then the company that I use after I mail merge, I pull my data here, come through all this, I find out what my ownership is, and then I'll put in a 1-page paper saying, hey, introduce myself, and I'm Trevor, I'm a land investor, blah, blah, blah. I'm willing to pay cash. I'll pay all closing fees, everything else like this. This is my price. I like to go ahead and do the blind offers because I know what I'm basically willing to pay for it in a lot of these areas. And so I don't want to have a bunch of tire kickers, even though I could probably make a lot more deals happen to negotiate deals. You know what I'm saying? Because they may take it lower, but if you just lowball them on their first offer, you can get a lot of angry people. So anyway, and so once I do that, I mail merge my documents, then I come to a deal called offers to owners. Offers to owners. And what you can do is you can pull up this, and what they do is they are a mail house. And what they'll do is, is they'll send a letter, a 2-page letter on the, and they'll even mail merge it for you and even give you a letter template and everything else like this. They'll do 2-page letters for 59 cents all in, which is a lot cheaper than most places. That's just that you can use click to mail. You can print them and lick them yourselves. You can do, pay your kids, whatever the heck you want to. But this is just a company. They're based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. The thing is they don't do first class mail. They do like the bulk stuff. So it usually takes about 2 weeks before your phone starts ringing. But as far as you never have to have an envelope, stamps, ink, nothing. You send all the data to them or call them and they'll walk you through it. You send everything, you pay, and you're done. So that's what I really, really like about that. Here's another service that I use whenever I start getting phone calls. This is called Pat Live, and there's a million ways that you can receive these phone calls from potential sellers. And what you're going to do is you can either send it to your cell phone, you can send it to your business phone, Google Voice Mail, which is free, or you can use something like this, an answering service, which they're more expensive, but instead of you getting all the hate, getting cussed out why you offered so low, they'll take it for you and basically come in and be like, hey, they'll send you emails and even text messages, or they'll even do they'll patch you through. If someone's like, yes, I want this sold tomorrow, I'll take your offer one way or other. That's just somebody that, and it also sounds more professional. This is basically your answering service / assistant kind of deal. It's pretty expensive for that. If you want to start out with, a burner phone or, your cell phone, if you're brave, if you're sending, offers, or Google voicemail, whatever you want to do, just make sure to put that number and a good email address on your offer letters. That way they get a hold of you. it seems like the people that are going to get pissed off at your offers are going to call you first, and they're going to leave some not nice phone or some messages and things like that. It usually takes about a month before the people that are really looking to sell or willing to sell will start getting a hold of you. And so that's when you can start going through, and then you start doing your kind of your due diligence. And I'll come back down here. Due diligence. So this is the cool thing about this whole deal, right? You don't have to live there. You don't have to have somebody walk through the house. I don't know if y'all have heard any of the wholesaling, virtual wholesaling or doing something like this, right? Like you got to have somebody on the ground taking pictures and video, that's not going to piss somebody off. The cool thing about this is there's none of that. You can get on Google Earth, or you can get on the GIS maps, like we just did just a little while ago, and find out, hey, this has trees, this doesn't have trees. If there's a neighbor where it's got trash just everywhere and things like that, that's something you got to kind of look out for. But another website, say I get a phone call from this gal or gentleman who wants to sell this parcel, this $42,000 parcel, right? There's two different ways to do a little homework. Obviously, make sure, go on the county website, make sure the owner is the owner that's calling you, things like that. But then what I do is I do two things. And the first thing is I get a hold of somebody at wegolook.com. And what they do is they go, you give them an address and everything, and then depending on how far away it is and how hard it is to get to, they'll go there and take pictures, video, everything else like that for anywhere from $50 to $70. Good quality photos, tons of them actually. And it's kind of like Upwork, but where photographers and things like that, they go, they check it out, they make sure that, if they said, hey, there's a well on there, they'll check it out, make sure that there's, they have a well, that there's power to it, things like that. So you don't have to be there. Another way you can do that is doing a Craigslist ad on gigs. Hey, $50 to go to here, give them an address or GPS coordinates, go out there, take pictures, take video, things like that. And that's just to make sure, one, that it has access, and two, that there's not a whole bunch of like Freon and old refrigerators or something like that. That's going to be a nightmare with like EPA or something like that. And so they do that. You got an offer that's agreed to, you sign, one way or other. If you negotiate a little bit, then you can use Sign Now, do an electronic document you can email over, and they can use their finger to sign on their phone. And then once you do that, you agree on a price, you send all that over to the title company. The thing is with the title company, and then also, I would call a realtor, talk to them about, hey, is this area just terrible? And they're easy to find. They'll be on lands.com or one way or other. So you get all that, you send that over to the title, they open escrow. Funding the deal, your own cash, private investors, whether that's joint venture equity, whether that's debt, however you negotiate that's up to y'all. This is something that not a lot of people know, but like self-directed IRAs or 401ks, they can be turned into, or a regular IRA can be turned over to a self-directed IRA. There's two companies that I've worked with to when you pitch somebody, look at my awesome deals, and they're like, well, I don't have $80,000 just laying around to buy these 3 deals. Well, if they have it in 401k, at least for a year, or they've got an IRA, there's 2 different companies that I suggest. This is Quest IRA, which is a huge IRA, self-directed IRA company in Houston. They're all over Texas. And then this is another group, the New Direction Trust Company. This is somebody that I've just now found, and they're just outside of Denver. And what they do is they allow checkbook control. And so basically, they don't have to go through, you don't have to go through, or your investor doesn't have to go through any kind of crazy dealing with custodians and things like that whenever they want to buy one of your deals or invest in one of your deals. This allows them to be like, they have a special checkbook, right? And it goes directly into that, directly to the title company to buy the deal. That is a big deal for me right now. And I am really, literally within the past week, I'm trying to get with them and help get some other investors over there. Wire funds, gotta stay on top of it. Oh, big deal with these little parcels. A lot of times they get pushed back, even though they still make the same amount of money with the title company. They don't seem to really care that much, and you really got to stay on their backsides to get a deal closed. Sometimes, I've had deals 6 weeks in title just to buy the thing with funded and everything. Just drives you insane. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe they just don't care as much, but that's something to really look at. And then here's the key to it all: is you buy it cash, you buy it for 50 cents on the dollar or less, is allowing owner financing. And that a lot of people that will tell you is, hey, you need at least 10-20% down. I understand that, especially when it comes to houses and things like that, but I'm willing to take 5 to 10% down a lot of times. And there's a couple reasons for that. But we'll talk about it here in just a minute. You can use a realtor if you want to, or a broker to do that. But for the most part, I sell almost all mine on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist ads with good pictures. Like I use the pictures that they have, or the drone footage from like the We Go Look or Craigslist deals. Or there's also the lands.com is what we call it, but it's Land Watch, Land and Farm, Land Century. All these deals were bought out. They were all individual companies, and they were all bought out by CoStar last year, which is a huge company that does a lot of these listing services. You can pay about as much as you want to, but there's tons and tons of traffic on these sites, and if you offer good financing, the things will fly off the shelf. I've literally had a deal outside of Walsenburg, Colorado, and I had a deal that I bought for $37,000, me and my dad, and we owner financed it for $110,000 at 10% interest over 20 years, and with 10% down, so it was $10,000 or whatever. So we're in at $22,000 or $25,000 or whatever it was, and I posted on Craigslist, and I probably had 30 phone calls in a day and a half, and I had 2 guys like fighting over getting me the earnest money, So that if it's the right thing, and they offer good financing on it, they'll happen in a hurry. Here's just kind of some examples on a deal. Like there's some of the stuff, and talking about market value, that's just the example that I found there on Zillow. So on that deal, we buy it 40%, which you can do. Believe me, you can do that. Taking even just a 5% down payment, which a lot of people are like, why in God's name would you only take 5% down? Because time and interest are the albatross for everyone. And if they default, I don't have a house that they're going to tear up, right? I don't allow them to do any improvements until I'm paid off. And so I don't have a whole lot to lose. If they put $2,900 down on the deal and they pay for 2 years and then they default, I get to do what? I get to sell it again for another down payment. I try to get 10%, but if somebody can't, I can always charge more, because the higher my principal on a high interest rate deal over a long period of time, I'm going to make a heck of a lot more money, right? So here's a deal, $633 a month, right? 15 years, 10% interest. And the interest, that's not that hard to get. I've got buddies of mine in Florida. In Florida, you can have up to 17% interest without being usury, which is pretty crazy. So annual payments, $7,500. You're going to make $55,000 in simple interest on a $23,000 note over the time period, right? You're going to make $113,000 in total payments on the deal. Your simple rate of return is going to give you 491%, and then the years to recoup your initial investment are a little over 3. Without tenants, toilets, anything like that. So, and then the note servicing. This is a big deal. Whenever I first started, I was taking notes. I was using Stripe and Moonclerk to take monthly payments, and that's just not a very good idea. And sometimes when it comes to real estate, Stripe doesn't like you doing that. And if you get too many of them, they'll shut you down. And so I have used Evergreen Note Servicing. They're out of Washington for stuff out of state. And then I use August REI, which is out of DFW there. And what they do is you send in your paperwork that you agree in with your buyer. They send in their banking information, and then they take all payments. It's just, I mean, literally, once you get to this point, you are Wells Fargo, you are Bank of America, you are things like that. Like you don't have to talk to them. And to be honest with you, I don't ever want to talk to the buyers unless they tell me they're paying me off, or they don't want to make any more payments and they're turning it back over. Like I said, most defaults, I don't have a whole lot of them, just because these properties are a little better than, like the super, super cheap stuff that I've started out with. And I've still got a couple that literally they just keep going in through default, and I just keep making, it's kind of an evergreen property that I keep getting payments on, but it's a real pain in the backside. But if they do default, mostly one, they'll either go radio silent on you, or two, they'll just call you and be like, listen, I don't want to make payments on this anymore. And so it's basically, cash for keys or whatever you want to call it. Use a deed in lieu of foreclosure or performance deed, depending on the state. A lot of states will, especially Texas, they don't want you to do land contracts. So you're going to do a deed and trust with a promissory note. That's exactly what you have if you go through Wells Fargo, Bank of America, whatever. But as far as that stuff's concerned, talk to an attorney. I don't do that. But yeah, so literally, I personally have friends of mine, and I'm trying to get to their level, that they make 60, 70, 80,000, and one of them makes over $100,000 a month in notes, $100,000 a month in notes off of land, and even going back here, right? Like $23,000 down, say you're trying to get to $6,000 a month in passive to cover all your stuff, right? How many deals is that? That's 10 deals. Say it's 12 deals if you got to use somebody else's money and give them an 8% rate of return on their money, right? That's not very many deals, and you can be done with the rat race. And again, without tenants, toilets, high taxes, anything, Dodd-Frank, any of that stuff. I guess the only bad thing is, one, you can write off your initial investment against your current year's taxes. The only thing is you do not have depreciation when it comes to this stuff, which you don't have a depreciation on your house or on a rent house or thing like that, because dirt doesn't depreciate. Beyond that, I think this is the biggest opportunity with the least amount of headache that I know of at this time. But anyway, I don't know if y'all have got any questions or anything else like that we can go over and talk about.
Earlier you said if you play your cards right, you only make one payment on the land.
Oh, on the subdividing? Yep.
Oh, so this is okay. So that's just strictly for subdividing?
Yes, yeah, because you're cashing out the bank
Okay.
on that deal. So and on these, on like the cash flowing deals, you're it's capital intensive for sure, but the rate of returns are definitely worth it. You know, I've got investors. I currently don't pool money when it comes to this stuff. I pay my investors a percentage of every deal we partner. We JV, so their name is on the deed and my name is on the deed. Okay, so they know that everything's cool between us, and then they are paid a preferred rate of return. Like they get paid first, and then I get to keep whatever's left. And so that's up to me to do a good job on that deal. But yeah, there's a million ways to mix and match on that. But as far as what I mentioned earlier, like that was on the annualized payment. So you make the down payment to buy it, right? And then you let me see here. Yeah, annualized payment. That's so you buy it, you get it cut up. It usually takes you 30 days or so to get it cut up and then put it for sale. And so you're able to hopefully get the whole thing. And if you're not able to get the whole thing, you've at least all the parcels sold. And if you haven't gotten them all sold for cash, then you're at least your first year's payment's already been paid off, right? So we always pay the bank back first on these deals just because we're risk adverse on the thing. And if there's anything that we want to keep one way or other. So let's say there's 10 deals, first 5 of them sell, they go straight to the bank, and then the next 5 will be profit.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just to be clear, you buy like 1,000 acres or something, and you subdivide that, and then you also buy smaller acreages, 35 acres or something, and you ask for half of what they're asking, right? And then
yes, and that's 2 different things, right? Like the land, as far as that I buy and subdivide, that's all lendable, right? That's the whole reason that the smaller stuff works. And to be honest with you, I am trying to get away as fast as possible from the subdividing stuff. I want to raise $10 million in the next 2 years and be done with all this stuff on this cheaper stuff. Because there's 2 reasons for that. That's a real business. I like cash flow. You're not always hunting down the next deal, but then also you can literally use employees or virtual assistants or whatever it is in order to run all that. The buddy of mine that makes $100,000 a month on that stuff, he's got 2 virtual assistants. They both are, one of them graduated from A&M and the other one graduated from, can't remember where she graduated from, but basically he uses a company called hiremymom.com, and they are highly intelligent stay-at-home mothers. And what they do is they are 1099, and what they do is they are based on production on the buy side and then on the sell side. So every property that they negotiate a good deal with and buy, they make $250, and every deal that they sell, they make $250, and then they get both of them split a 10% per month of the gross revenue as far as the cash flow. So these gals, you know, and you can use, and they also use like virtual assistants in the Philippines to do like the paperwork stuff and things like that. But, you know, to be able to, like, literally, he doesn't do anything except for decide where he's going to mail and what he's going to offer. You know, like, that's what you can do with this kind of stuff. I'm not there yet. I'm getting there. I've got pretty good virtual assistants and things like that, but that's the way I'm going, that way. And the only reason that opportunity is there is because banks don't lend on that price point in those particular types of properties. So literally you're basically a lender is what you are in that game.
Well, anybody else got any more questions? We're going to wrap it up here pretty quick.
I've got
Basically-
a
sorry.
question, Trevor.
Go ahead.
Yep.
So you said you find those deals, and for the most part, they don't finance, or folks don't finance, or
Yep.
the banks won't allow folks to finance. So is that just something that you find out through trying to buy it yourself and get it financed, or is there a place where you can find that out?
No, well, here's I mean, it's just kind of the cold hard truth that most people don't have 20 or 30% down to put down on a 50, 60, $70,000 parcel, right? And it's just, I think really the reason that the banks, again, the reason they don't like it is a $48,000 parcel, they're going to make 1% origination fees on the deal, right? And they know that they've got a super high chance of defaulting on the thing. And why in good Lord's name would they want to take that kind of risk to have that on their books when they're going to make they're going to make $40, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, it's a weird thing. And I don't know I've talked to lots of banks and lots of little regional banks and things like this. And they're like, yeah, we'll lend on it, but, you're going to need a 700 credit score, and you're going to need 20 or 30% down on it, things like that. It's just, we're trying to be, we're not necessarily in the real estate market. Real estate is the product. We're in the lending business on those. You know what I mean? Because banks don't want, it's just not worth their time. And most people can't afford it. And that was something that's kind of weird with, people are like, oh, well, I need at least 30 or 40% down. Good luck. Right? Like, it's not the way the world works. I don't make the rules. That's just the way it is, right? Like, you see people hauling travel trailers, right? All over Kingdom Come. Well, they put 5% down, and then they literally owner finance for 30 years on a travel trailer, right? Like, that's terrible. It's a depreciating asset that's going to fall apart. You know what I mean? All this other stuff. People do it all the time. But the cool thing is, with what I'm doing at 5 or 10% down, again, I'm not worried about it because I don't have anything to tear up, or a toilet to blow up, or something to burn down, right? I'm doing that is because the two things that are so powerful when it comes to financing and finances and financial literacy is interest rate and length of term. That's why even at a 4% interest rate, right, on a primary residence over 30 years, you still double, you pay twice whatever you bought your house for once it goes to full term, right? Sure. And now I'm able to do that at a 10% interest because no one else is lending on it. And my dog is barking. Sorry.
No, thank you.
So yeah, I just it's not sexy. There's no TV shows. There's no anything like this. It's not sexy, but you can actually turn it into a business that you can delegate to other people. Like, your biggest deal, and that's where I'm at right now, is just raising money. And I can, at these numbers, right? Like, at those kind of numbers, you want to offer 10, 12, 15% rate return on your money? Yes, I can do that.
Okay. One last question. You don't get insurance on your land, do you?
I have, and that's something actually I've got a buddy of mine who does some of the insurance stuff, and he said to use kind of an umbrella kind of deal, but I haven't ever had any problems with it because, again, I'm not allowing them to do anything. I guess there is. I guess there is a chance that I got an opening on my flank, in case somebody buys their deal and gets in a four-wheeler wreck and wants to sue me for the deal. But technically they own it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do you sue Wells Fargo? you know, when your house burns down, I don't know.
Okay.
How do you make sure they're not doing anything on your land?
Not your land anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I try to put in the deal, and to be honest with you, I guess they could probably go ahead and do it anyway if they want to build stuff or they want to do whatever. And that is a chance. And I have friends of mine that have had like people just like squat and drag garbage on and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's not a problem. And if it really is, if they do haul a bunch of trash or something like that, it usually costs you, get on Craigslist, it usually costs you $500 to $1,000 to get somebody to haul it all off.
So you
Yeah.
don't have, we go look, go.
Yeah, well, I mean, I probably should. I mean, I guess so. I mean, y'all are making me feel bad now.
No.
But I don't know. I just assume that most people are pretty good. I have had some issues with just people being weirdos on the super cheap stuff that I've done before, like, you know, the buy for 1,000 or 2,000 and sell for 6,000 on terms. That gets a little weird. But these better ones, I've not had any problems with. Knock on wood, which I probably will now. So I'm sure I'll get a phone call from a sheriff or a deputy or something like this saying like, "Hey," I was like, "I don't own it anymore. I'm just a bank," you know. So I don't know. That's, you know, worst case scenario. Again, they drop a bunch of environmental stuff, right? A bunch of Freon, a bunch of stuff like that. That's a risk you take, but I would rather do that than worry about an HVAC going out or somebody trashing the inside of one of my rent houses and all my profit gone for 3 years.
Well, thank you very much, Trevor.
Yeah.
Thank
Great
you.
information.
Yes.
Like I
thank you
said,
very
this is a cool little niche, and I'll help anybody any way I can. If y'all, like I said, I know how to go fast or something like this. If y'all have got, I know Lee's got my email, but what I can do is I'll even give out my cell phone number and things like that. If y'all got any questions, or you know, if y'all send out some mail and something starts hitting, you know, if y'all want to bounce some ideas off, I'm totally open to that. And then also if you find something that y'all want to subdivide or you got a good deal or something like that, let me know. You know, I may want to buy and partner in on with you.
You know, Trevor and I met down in San Angelo before the Rio group down there. We went to eat, and I bet you he comes to Midland, Odessa often. And I bet y'all, if you talk to him, he'd let you take him out to breakfast or lunch or dinner or something, and y'all could just talk away. He's got a wealth of information,
I like to eat.
and I like his stories. He's got some good ones.
I've done all kinds of stuff, man. So.
Yeah, I'd be interested in getting your email and maybe your phone number. And
Yeah. No, I mean, again, like I said, and if it's something that I don't know, I'm not going to BS you and tell you that I do, right? Like, but I've also got a lot of some contacts and things like that in the land industry. Or if you got something that comes across your desk that is, you know, out of my deal, I'll know somebody that you can call.
Hey, Trevor, why don't you take it off full screen, and then in the chat, type your name, phone number, and email, and that way everybody will have it.
We'll see if I can do that.
But if you can't do that, just go down the chat.
What do I do on that? New
At the
share.
very bottom, show your, and you'll see the chat thing down there. Click on
Yes,
it.
sir.
See at the bottom of the screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Click on it and then type in there to everybody.
Okay.
And everybody that's listening, if you're on a laptop or a computer, just move your mouse and you'll see at the very bottom of the screen, you'll see chat, and click on that and it'll come up on the thing. And when he finishes typing, you'll get his information.
I don't know how to do this. I'm losing my mind. All right, chat. And my dogs are here. Okay. Oh, crap.
You sent that to just me. You got to open it up.
Oh, dang it.
That's okay.
I'm terrible at this.
There we go.
Gotcha. Travis, what's your deal out in Andrews?
No, it's nowhere near as big as what we've been talking about. This is just a piece of a subdivision out here that we bought that we were and still might be planning on building a home on. It's 2.3 acres out here, and it's already a subdivision that started being built at this time. Our whole issue or our whole idea was that we were going to build it starting the beginning of this year. I suffered a pretty major back injury back in September, so that plan fell through. And since then, we have been tossing back and forth if we want to sell it and to have more capital going forward with this venture, or if we just want to put that on hold as we continue with this. But we know that this is going to be our goal for now, and we'll see how that goes forward.
Okay.
And I want to apologize if my mute wasn't on at the start of that. That's on me.
No worries, man. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, like I said, y'all, if y'all have any questions or anything else like that, y'all just let me know, and I'll help out any way I can. Like I said, I might not know all of it, but I'll get you in touch with somebody that does.
I do got a question, and
Yep.
you might have answered this whenever I was gone, but can you send Lee this presentation, and then Mr. Lee, can you send that out to the rest of us by chance?
Yeah, I'll be rendering the whole thing.
Okay.
Next, probably, I leave Monday for Ohio for 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever my
Okay.
wife says. I'm meeting her there, and we're going to drive back. But my computer will render it tonight, and then I'll probably edit it later on this week. This is my really busy time of season, so I got to
Okay.
keep other things going. And if I don't get it done before I leave, I'll do it as soon as I get back. I'll put it up on the YouTube channel. And that way you can look at it or download it, whatever you want to do from the YouTube channel.
Well, I'll send you, Lee. I'll email you over the PowerPoint, and then that
Okay.
way you can decide what you want to do. That'll be easy.
All right.
What's the YouTube channel?
Permian Basin Real Estate Investment Group.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Travis, send me a text or send me an email. I put my email information in the chat at the very beginning. Go to the top of the screen, you'll see my stuff, and I'll send it back to you. I'll send you a link to it.
Okay.
Anybody else that's new to the group, just send me your email address and stuff, and I'll send you out a welcome letter, and it'll have all the links. Michelle's got the Facebook page, and it'll have a link to her Facebook page. It's the group's Facebook page, but she what do you call it? Moderates it. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Bubba, I didn't see your question there. Where do you find the money to buy all this land?
Yeah.
Man, you gotta find a good deal first, and then just open up your mouth. You know what I mean? Seriously, right? Like the greed gland will get going. The only thing is especially if you're new to it, do not get greedy, okay? Like 50-50 or 20-30% or whatever the heck it is better than nothing, right?
Right.
Do not get greedy with this deal. I've literally had guys that have blown up deals because they're like, no, I want 80% of the profits. I was like, well, you don't have any money. You know what I mean? And I mean, don't get me wrong, the deal is important, right?
Right.
But without the money, there's no deal. So give somebody a great rate of return, right? Like this is hard asset, right? It's backed up. You know what I even do, like I said, I'm still not pooling money. Eventually I'll do a fund and all this other stuff. Right now, they're on the deed too. You know what I mean? Like the investor, they're on the deed. And so let's just say and say it's taking a little time, but even looking at looking at this particular deal, let me slide this over real quick. But looking at this particular deal that we're on, $23,000 purchase price, right?
Right.
I would be like, hey, I'm even going to give you all the down payment, right? And so now you're into it, $20,000. They get a little bit of their money back. They get feeling good. And let's say you do 50-50, right? Even $315 a month for 15 years, right? They're not going to find anything like that. You do all the work, and you're going to make $300, a little over $300 a month for 15 years. The only thing is, here's another thing. They don't have to stay in the deal for that long, and you don't have to stay in the deal for that long. What you can do is you can build a book of notes and season them, allow them to make good payments for 6 months to a year. Then you can package those and try to sell those on to note buyers. There's note buyers everywhere. You know what I mean? And so technically, and they might not pay, they might not pay 100 cents on the dollar. They're not going to pay par, but what they may pay is maybe they're going to pay 70 cents on the dollar, right? You're like, oh my gosh, 70 cents on the dollar. Well, you bought it on 40%. You're going to be making a bunch of money on the deal. So, I mean, in a year, say you've got 10 or 20 of these deals, you may be able to put away $200,000 yourself on selling the notes.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So just open up your mouth, and you're going to get a lot of no's because a lot of people don't understand this because it's different. It's not a house, it's not a duplex, things like that. But just, stick with it, right? Like that's a great thing. If you find these deals and you keep pushing, eventually you're going to start doing it. And then once you get 2 or 3 people, they're going to open up their mouth, right?
Right.
That's going to be the big deal, right? Like, listen, dude, Bubba, dude, he's making me $300 a month, and I don't do shit. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like, and then it kind of becomes sexy and kind of different. You're like, oh yeah, and then you get to tell that investor, oh, dude, you own 300 acres and 10 different 350 acres in Colorado. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that, you know what I'm saying? Like people kind of think that's cool.
I do.
Yeah. To be honest with you, that's why I like northern New Mexico, northern Arizona, and Colorado, because that's the places I like to hang out.
I like it. 'Cause this is something I ain't never heard of before till today. This is something totally different.
Yeah, well, believe me, you'll be the only one around because most people don't. Like I said, you go to a RIA event and they'll be like, oh yeah, and I've done infills. I've done like infill lots, like sell to builders and stuff like that, in Fort Worth and everything. The only thing is, there's just not enough of them. And at least before this COVID hit, these people were getting offers all the time, right? Like in these areas that had been run down and all this other stuff. Nobody. It's just one of those things. But that's why I like these that are a little further out. I just, but they're still good properties. They're not just junk. You know what I mean? It's not like it's just garbage out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of people that make a lot of money on stuff out in the middle of the desert too. You can go on to landwatch.com. There's like Sunset Ranches or something like that. They're a huge deal. It's 2 brothers decades ago out of Florida that bought like, I can't remember how many sections, like 100 sections of land out in West Texas. And they just keep selling or owner financing the same land over and over and over again. Because some people fall out and some people buy, and some people fall out and some people buy, and some people fall out and some people buy every single month. And sometimes they'll do more than others, and sometimes they won't. Like these guys, I don't know how much money they make. I mean, insane how much money they make. And they never, there's never a tenant, there's never a toilet, there's never a judge, there's never any of that stuff, right?
No
And there's not a bank.
There's not a bank.
So,
All right.
So-
Landwatch.com.
so anyway, but yeah, I'll get that over. And like I said, if y'all come across anything, or heck, if y'all just want to talk shop, give me a shout.
All right, thanks, Trevor.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great one.
Two.
Thank you.
What?
Are you there?
Yep.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I have
Yep.
one question.
Yep.
If we were to get started in this, what's the first thing we should do?
Well, which one? What part?
What? How do you call it? Your second part where you bought?
Oh, the
smaller-
owner financing.
Yes.
Oh, just cut me a $5,000 check, and then I'll be your guru.
Hey.
Well, hey, if
No.
you're talking about 40 cents on the dollar, I mean, now it's what, $2,000 instead of $5,000 for you then?
Yeah. Hey, whatever. I'll take it. I'm cheap. I don't care. I'm a cheap date. No. Find areas. I would play on Zillow, and if there's any places that you really like, and that's what I do. I only invest in places that I like.
Yo.
You know what I mean? Like, I love the mountains. That's why I invest, right? Like, you can do it all over the place, and then get on Zillow and get on look up lots, and then do $20,000 to $60,000 each, like in between, and just start playing with it, and just start seeing, like, you'll start seeing clusters all over the place. Missouri, the only place that I haven't come across, like farmland, like that stuff is a commodity. That stuff trades like damn near like stocks. Like, it's dollar for dollar stuff, right? Like, if you get something a couple $100 off of market value, you've done something, right? Like, that's different. But yeah, I would just play on Zillow. Once you find a spot like that, just reach out to me, and I'll help you any way I can.
I'll tell you a little story of mine. When I first got to West Texas in 1980, south of Odessa is Nolan Acres, and she was a young real estate agent, and it was family land, and they subdivided that up. I think it was in about 1 acre lots, and I bought an acre. Two of my friends bought an acre, and I'll tell you what, they have sold and resold, just like Trevor was saying, that land, because every boom, people are buying out there. Every bust, people leave. Mine, I've made payments for maybe 3 or 4 years and then quit. And then for another 3 or 4 years, I was hoping lawyers would call me. But, I realized after I got into real estate that, no, they didn't care. They just, they may have wanted to clear the title a little bit.
They had to mark it off their list of their due diligence trying to get it back. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So, Michelle, you live in Texas. You might want to look out in your area where you're already there. And this is the bust time. This is the time to start buying large acres out there near where you are. And then when the next boom starts up, start selling it off. And you can try to sell it off now,
Yeah. Well, and again, like having that value, like even learning just to subdivide yourself, right? Again, there's going to be motivated sellers, and they may be willing to give you an equity position with your skill set, right? Open up your mouth. I mean, there's a million ways to do that. But as far as and I've subdivided some cheaper stuff and things like that, and the numbers are great. You buy a half section in Culberson County, Texas, and you subdivide them into 10-acre parcels, and then you owner finance them for $200 a month. You can do that, and it's great, but the headache that comes with that kind of stuff, I've just decided that it's easier just to buy stuff that's already been done. You know what I mean? As far as the cash flow stuff kind of deal. That doesn't mean that you can't do it or shouldn't do it. I mean, literally, there's millionaires made every day that do all of this stuff, right? Like there's a million ways to do this. Even coming in and buying, something on the interstate that, buying it at a 10-acre parcel and getting it platted exactly the way you want to and rezoned and doing all this other stuff and then selling it by the square foot, right? That's real forced appreciation, right? But that's just I'm not very smart, so I just do the basic ugly stuff. So anyway. Well, I better go. My wife's already text messaged me twice, so I had to leave a little league baseball game earlier to come over here. So she's probably not real happy with me. So anyway,
Well, sir, I appreciate the information.
yeah, no, for sure. No, and seriously, touch base with me, call me, whatever. Again, I love doing this stuff, and I don't know, and I'm learning also, and my big deal is raising cash money. That's where I'm at, and getting in front of stuff. And it's really stinks because this year was really taking off, and then this COVID deal. Like I had a couple of meetings set up with some big money managers in Fort Worth, and so maybe we can get it going again. But like that's the only bad thing about this deal is that it is capital intensive. So you're gonna have to learn how to raise money if you want to do the cash flow stuff. Well, it's real estate, right? It takes money unless you. I mean, you can do the subject to, you can do all this stuff, like Lee, what we were talking about the other day, doing the, subject to, and then a wrap with the owner finance and all that other stuff on houses. But I like to keep stuff simple. But yeah, or again, even buying the dirt and then becoming a mobile home lender or something like that. That's a great niche to be in also. But I like dirt. I like cash flow, and so that's just what I like doing. So anyway.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh yeah, thank y'all.
Yeah,
Y'all have a
thanks,
great
man.
rest of y'all's evening.
Sir, you
I'm
too.
gonna leave too. If y'all want to talk, I'll leave it open for y'all so you all can.
All right, you guys have a nice night. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
I
Yes,
guess. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
thank y'all.
Thank you, Lee. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, Carlos. See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.